A very good morning to you all, captains, and welcome back to the flight deck. This is Captain Simwings speaking, and today we are stepping away from our regular career series for a brand new video in our Exploratory Flight Series. And this means that we are taking a massive trip down memory lane for today. Just a reminder that these exploratory videos are all about variety, and today we are throwing it back to one of South Africa's most beloved and missed low-cost carriers. We are flying under the iconic Mango Airlines banner, and our call sign will be Tulka for today. And as you can see, it's repainted in that unmistakable bright orange livery that you see in front of you. So yeah, before we power her up, let's look at the operational stats for today's coastal run. So today's flight is taking us from OR Tambo International Airport, and we will be heading southwest down to the Garden route at George Airport. The distance, we will be covering approximately 510 nautical miles, and the aircraft that we will be flying today is the PMDG 737-800, sporting this classic Mango Airlines livery. And with regards to the simulation setup, we will still be using Beyond ATC for all our air traffic control and live traffic injection, and then we will also be using self-loading cargo to manage our passengers and the cabin crew. And for the recording of this flight, we will be utilizing a Pilot's Life Chapter 2, which will be scoring us based on how we pilot the aircraft. And after the flight, we will be looking at the scoreboard just to see how well we did on this flight. And then lastly, for all the ground operations and baggage loading and handling, we will be utilizing GSX. For the disclaimer, as always, this video is focused on pacing and entertainment, meaning that certain routine procedures or parts of the cruise will be streamlined to keep the video moving forward. And at some point, I'll also be utilizing the Beyond ATC AI assistant to just handle the radio frequencies during the busy phases so I can focus on handling the aircraft. So captains, enough of the admin. I'm pretty excited to get up into the skies with this beautiful aircraft that we have in front of us. So we are going to start by setting up our aircraft, adding our flight route and so forth, just to ensure that the aircraft is ready for taking off. So let's just hop into the aircraft and get it started. So we will start with our flight tablet as always, and just call in our flight plan for today from SimBrief. Perfect. And then we will go to our ground operations and just request for the ground power. Ground power seems to have been connected to the aircraft, so we can go to our overhead panel and then just turn on the remaining elements. So we'll start with our batteries, then our emergency lights. Logo light can stay off. The position and strobe light can be flicked to steady. Perfect. And then because we do have our ground power connected, we will turn on the ground power as well. Lovely. And then we can just turn on our window heats. Do this, turn on the window heats, and the probe heats will be turned on right after we complete our pushback. While we are here, let me just turn up our panel brightness so that we can see everything nicely. And then we can also just flick our IRSs to the nav position, and then wait for the estimated time of alignment that will be presented to us in the IRS display. Perfect. So we have 7 minutes until alignment has been completed. We can clear the master caution, and then we can also just proceed to turn on the remaining panel brightnesses that we're going to need. As you see, we are flying during the day, so we need them as bright as possible. I'm going to do the same for my screens as well. Just make sure that the screens are as bright as they can be, just to counter the glare that we might face. Perfect. I'm happy with that. Alright, let's go over to our flight tablet while the aircraft is setting up and the screens are coming to life. We can start by having a look at our charts for today. So we will search for our departing airport chart, and we will just pin that to our chart board, and then we'll do the same for the arrival airport and pin that as well. Wonderful. And then for our airport charts, we'll start with our departing airport chart, and then just take note of the ATIS frequency for today, which is 126.2, and then the OR Tambo clearance delivery is on 121.7. Perfect. We've got that noted as well on my spreadsheet. Usually we do depart from runway 03 left, so that's our heading 036. Okay, perfect. And then let's have a look at our arriving airport chart. Fairly straightforward airport. I am happy with that. The runway is pretty short though, so it means we won't be floating that much, or we won't have the leeway to float. So it's going to be a landing and then we turn back that way. Okay, so we just have to make sure that our landing is within the touchdown markers, so that we have enough time to slow down. With regards to the ATIS, we do have 126.22 as the arrival ATIS, and we will be tuning into it when we do make our way closer to the arrival airport. Perfect. Let's go to our flight plan and just have a look. So we will be departing from OR Tambo, and we will be heading to George. Our cost index for today is 80, with average winds coming in from 2 to 9 at 053 degrees. And then we've got an average wind component of -49, indicating that we do have a headwind ahead of us, and this should be impacting the fuel that we are carrying. And for our weights, we do have a zero fuel weight of 59.2 with a takeoff weight of 67.8 tons, and the planned cruising altitude will be 28,000 feet. But when the aircraft systems do indicate that we can go higher, we will just request for a higher cruising altitude once we do get that indication. And then for our fuel today, we are carrying 8.7 tons of fuel, with the fenders and alternate being 3.1. And then our trip time for today, it's planned to be, or estimated to be, 1 hour 42 minutes en route. So this is pretty nice. With regards to our route, our first transition waypoint is the Ovala waypoint, and our last transition waypoint is the Epcap waypoint, and it looks like we don't have a star, so we will be using radar vectors to then get us to the planned runway, that being runway 29 at George. Right, I am happy with that. And then with our passengers on board, we will be carrying 153 passengers on board. Lovely. Let's listen in on our ATIS today and just take note of the conditions that we can expect from the departing airport today. So we do have ATIS also on 126.200. So we will just select 126.200 and listen in on the ATIS. Perfect.
Stability okay. Temperature 14 degrees, dew point -02 degrees, QNH 1030, landing runway 21 left, departing runway 21 right, transition level 080, read back all hold short instructions, advise on initial contact you have information Golf. Johannesburg Airport information Golf 0803 Zulu, surface wind 220 degrees 6 knots, variable between 180 degrees and 260 degrees. Ceiling and visibility okay. temperature 14 degrees, step point -02 degrees, QNH 1030, landing runway 21 left, departing runway 21 right, transition level 080, read back all hold short instructions, advise on initial contact, you have information goals.
Alright, captains, and that was our ATIS readout. So we do have information golf on board, a QNH of 1030, so we can just set that up. Perfect. And then today it's a bit different. They do say that we are departing from runway 21 right. Okay, so let's have a look at our charts then and have a look at our SIDS. Search for the SIDS here that we can use. 21 right, and our first waypoint or our transition is Ovala. So we will have a look at the Ovala chart and then just pin that as well. And let's have a look. This is covering 21 left, 21 right. Perfect. Initial climb will be 8,000, so I just want to make note of that. Perfect. And then Ovala 1 Bravo is the possible set they can read to us. There we go. And then let's just scan through our charts to make sure that we're not missing any other Ovala. And we just have one. Alright, we seem to be covered with that. Perfect. So what I am then going to do is I am going to tune into the clearance frequency and then just request clearance for today's flight. So we do have OR Tambo delivery on 121.7. Then I will just be requesting for the clearance for today. Let me just set up my systems, possibly Ovala 1 Bravo, and then alright, perfect. Right. There we go. Let me just call in for clearance for today. OR Tambo delivery, good morning. This is Tulka 258 with information golf requesting IFR clearance to George Airport.
Tulka 258, Johannesburg delivery cleared to George via Ovala 1 Bravo departure runway 21 right, climb to flight level 120, squawk 5512.
Cleared to George Airport, expect runway 21 right on the Ovala 1 Bravo departure, squawk 5512, Tulka 258.
Negative, climb to flight level 120.
Climb to flight level 120.
Tulka 258, read back correct. Contact ground 122.65 when ready for push or start.
Ground 122.65. Alright, captains, and that was our clearance for today. So let's do the ground 122.65 and we will just park our frequencies right there. 122.65, perfect. And then we can just set our squawk for today. We have been given 5512, and then we can just set TA only there. Perfect, I am happy with that. Right, so now we can then move on to just set up our aircraft and input our route, and then after that we will call for the refueling of the aircraft, catering replenishment, as well as the boarding. Right, so I know that you might have seen from the flight plan that our estimated time of departure is very far ahead, so I'm just purposefully doing that for recording purposes and to just space out my activities correctly so we can get the shots that we require. Perfect. After all, this is a simulation, and sticking true to that, you will then see it with my setting up of the FMC as well. I don't think I should be inputting the routes manually. We will just use the link uploads and just call them through and just make sure that they align. So enough of the talking, let's just pull up our flight plan. Let's go to the FMC and let's go to the position initialization page. So we are departing FAOR. You can just insert that and then go to the next page, copy our left alignment, come back and insert that. There we go. Aircraft has aligned itself correctly. And then we can go to the route page. That will be our origin. And then we can just do a flight plan request from Simbrief and select the route. Alright, so our uplink is ready. We can load that into the aircraft. Perfect. And then we can just hit activate as well and execute. Wonderful, I'm happy with that. So we are departing FAOR, destination is FAGG, and the call sign is MNO0258, and that's what we have over there. Perfect. Let's go to the next page and just have a look at our routing, just to make sure that everything is in alignment. So our first transition waypoint will be Ovala. Thereafter we use the airway uniform Zulu 18, head to Neven, then uniform Quebec 9, head to Charlene, then direct up and make our way to the landing runway. Perfect. We can go to our departures and arrivals page. So we are departing 21 right, and we are using the Ovala 1 Bravo departure. Can hit execute for that. Back to the index page for the arrival. We don't have a star yet, but we are planning to arrive on runway 29, so we will select ILS 29 and hit execute. Lovely. Let's go to our legs page and then just review our legs for today. So the flight plan, and then just zoom out a bit. There we go, and we can just step right through it. Let's just increase the range some more there. There we go. Just step through it, make our way southwest. Wonderful. And then I want to zoom in here just a bit. Let's continue to step. Alright, and then we'll be making our way there and then step, and we have a discontinuity. So let's go previous page, just extend this a bit. Charlene, up. Then we have the discontinuity, and we have C and final. So what I'm going to then do is I want next page initial fix. I want it to run to FAGG, and then let's just have a look at the change in our flight plan, so it just makes a bit more sense to me. And let's step through it. There we go. Yes, Charlene, and then we skip FAGG. Perfect. And then we make our way right to the initial and final fix. I'm happy with that. There we go. That makes much more sense for us. But then of course, if things do differ upon arrival, we will listen in on what ATC will be directing us. Wonderful. I'm happy with that. Let's go back to the legs page, decrease our range over here, return it to the normal view, and then the route data, and just request our winds. it's coming through. Right, let's request our wings again. Return to the next page. Route data wing request. Let me just have a look at my initializations. Next page. That's fine. Let's have a look at our flight plan again. It's fine. Right, return. Copy that. Route data. I think this has to do with one of the reasons why we'd be calling the flight plan, but anyway, we will return to this. Right, I think we've done enough admin for now. We do have our squawk code inputted, which is 5512. Initial climb is going to be 12,000 feet. And runway, we are taking off from 21 right, so they will say do 210 as the runway heading. Perfect. I am happy with that, and then we will come back. So in the meantime, let's just bring up our GSX and then request for refueling of the aircraft, and then we will just hop outside to have a look at them get the aircraft ready. Right.
Truck is on its way.
Alright, captains, I'm back in the seat. The last remaining passengers are still boarding the flight, so let's continue with setting up the remaining elements of our aircraft. On the performance initialization page, again we will just request it for this time, as we are operating under simulation and we are trying to save some time on the video. So while that is loading, I just want to go to my weights section over here on the flight plan, and then you can just load this and hit execute. So with regards to our zero fuel weight, we are supposed to be 59.2 and we have 59.3. So that's perfect, we are fine with that. With our blend fuel, so our block fuel 8.7, we can just insert that. And then for our reserves, we do have FAGG plus alternate 3.1, perfect. Cost index is 80. Cruising altitude, we do have 280, perfect. And then the winds are coming in from 229 at 53 knots, average wind component minus 49, perfect. And then the transition altitude is 8,000, so we can hit execute there. And let's just go back to our legs page, route data, and then try and request again. There we go.
Just up there on your right hand side. Hello there. Hi, your seat is just up there to the right.
Then we can just load in our winds.
Morning.
And hit execute. Then just wait for the message and clear this lovely. Go to the descent page, forecast, and then load our winds again. I'm happy with that. Let's go back to the route page, takeoff page. I want to do initialization N1 limit, and then let's run our performance calculations. So we do have 2 on right. Import the weights from the aircraft, import the weather as well, and we can hit calculate. So we have a takeoff that's derated to takeoff 1, so we'll select that, and then our selected temperature is 23 degrees. Lovely, there we go. And then we should have a N1 of about 95.7, and we have 96.7. So let's go to the takeoff, and then next page, runway winds 206 knots. And then for the slope, we have a slope of 0.40. Perfect. Conditions are dry. Let's have a look. There we go. Perfect. And then with regards to the flaps, we have a flap 5 takeoff, and the takeoff center of gravity is 24.7. Perfect. With a trim of 5.10. Let me see. 5.10 can set out trim. Perfect, that should be enough. And then on there we can then look at our takeoff speed. So 43, 44, 48. So 143, 144, 148. And on that note, we can then set our V2 at 148. Lovely. Turn on our flight directors, and then we will turn on the VNav and LNav because we do have a set that has been given to us. Cruising altitude 28,000 feet. Perfect. I am happy with that. Right. That's our aircraft all set up nicely. Let's go to our maps. Just have a look at our standard instrument departure. Very straightforward. Initial climb 8,000, but we have been given 12. So I am happy with that. We can just put away our tablet while it's loading. All good. Passengers are on board. Let's have a look at our passenger count. All passengers are on board. Perfect. So with all passengers being on board, let's go to our flight tablet, close all our doors. So door management, and then close all doors. Right, doors are closing. Perfect. All doors are closed. We can go ahead to turn on our seatbelt signs. Wonderful. And then we can also turn on our anti-collision light. Perfect. And then with regards to our fuel, we do have fuel in our center tanks. so we must just note that, but we will turn on our forward fuel pump for now, so that we can turn on our APU. And then we will flick our APU to the on position and hop outside to have a listen to the APU startup. We're just waiting for the low pressure indicator. There we go. And then we will hit on and hop outside. Alright captains, that's our APU turned on. As you can see, the APU generators are available, so we will select them and then we will continue to turn on the APU bleed and just turn on our packs so that the air conditioning is running in the aircraft. Perfect. And then we can turn on all our fuel pumps as well. There we go. And our ground power can be turned to off and it can be disconnected as well. Ground connections, and then release the ground power, and the chocks can be removed as well. Chocks. Perfect. Alright captains, pushback is probably going to have our nose turning towards the left hand side as we will be taxiing out to our takeoff runway, but in the meantime let's just request that GSX prepare for pushback and engine start.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Sierra Lima Extra Bravo, taxi to ramp Lima 1 via Romeo Echo Yankee Hotel Charlie. Taxi to ramp Lima 1 via Romeo Echo Yankee Hotel Charlie, Zulu Sierra Lima Extra Bravo.
Locking gear.
Alright captains, that's our aircraft prepped for engine start. So what we are going to do is just request pushback and engine start from ground and then proceed from there. OR Tambo ground, good morning. This is Tulka 258 requesting pushback and engine start.
Tulka 258, OR Tambo apron, pushback approved. Face east.
Pushback approved, face east. Tulka 258. Alright captains, we have been cleared for pushback. So what we'll do is we'll start our clocks. And then we will just continue with the pushback. Captains, let's set our parking brakes and then commence with the startup of our engines. We will be starting with the engine on my right hand side, which is engine number 2. So we can turn off the PEX from that side and then flip the engine start switch on and then monitor our N2. As soon as we have N2s above 20, we'll just introduce the fuel. N2 above 20, introduce the fuel, and let's monitor the startup. Alright, our engines are stable. Let's continue then to flip this to continuous and then start up our next engine. So bring back the packs, turn them off on our side. So we will just turn them on, go outside and listen, and then come back and listen to the change when we introduce the fuel. N2 is above 20, let's introduce the fuel. Perfect. Alright captains, we do have a good engine startup. Let's just confirm with GSX that we do have a
Cockpit
good engine start.
We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Alright, and then we can just flip this to the continuous side and bring back our packs online. Perfect. And then because we do have the engine generators on now, we can flick them on. And then we can proceed to turn off the APU. Lovely. Our probe heats can come on, and so can our yaw damper as well.
Unlocking gear.
There we go. Then we can flip this to Gen 1. Perfect. Right. And then we have been given a flaps 5 departure, so we will just select flaps 5. And those are our flaps extended, captains. Let's just clear this message. Perfect. And then co-pilot continue to request taxi to the active.
Delta 258 taxi for departure.
Auto brakes can be RTO.
Delta 258 taxi to holding point Alpha runway 21 right via Foxtrot Alpha.
Taxi to holding point Alpha runway 21 right via Foxtrot Alpha Delta 258.
Taxi light can come on as well. Perfect. Let's make our way to the holding point, captain. So release the brakes. Have some throttle, not more than 40%, and let's make our way out. Alright, captains, that's the end of our taxi. Let's just set up the remaining systems. So we'll just select TARA and then co-pilot continue to request departure.
Delta 258 holding short, runway 21 right.
Our landing lights can come on as
Delta
well.
258, OR Tambo Tower, wind 220 degrees, 6 knots, runway 21 right, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 21 right, cleared for takeoff. Tulka 258.
Alright, we've been cleared for takeoff. Let's have a look at the cabin. Doors are armed. Cabin is secured for takeoff. Cabin crew are ready for takeoff. Perfect. Let's make our way onto the runway. Then I'll turn in to align ourselves to center. We have ample runway for this takeoff. Beautiful. And we are on center. Let's do our final checks. TARA selected. Weather and turbulence can come on. Weather on my side, turbulence on the terrain on the co-pilot side. Do I have my traffic layer turned on? Perfect, traffic is on. Auto brakes RTO, flaps are green. We do have flaps 5. Perfect. Takeoff speeds have been calculated. Auto throttle can be turned on. Lights are on. Engines in the correct position. 1, 2, 3. Anti-collision light is on. Cruise altitude selected. X are on as well, and pressurization is taking place. APU bleed can come off. Alright, we are good to go, captains. So let's release the parking brake. 50% throttles. Engines are stable. Takeoff thrust set. Down pressure.
Airspeed alive.
Nose neutral. Alright, captains, I'm back in the seat. We are about 10 minutes from the top of descent. So we'll just be listening on ATIS and hearing and listening out for the clearance that they might give us for making our landing. In the meantime, you can just come down here, go to the fixed page, and I just want to call in our tablet over here, FAGG, and do a distance of 150 nautical miles. There we go. And then we will also tune into the ATIS frequency so that we can listen out for the weather conditions upon arrival. So we do have the ATIS frequency on 126.220. We'll try 126.225. Yep.
Landing and departing runway 11, transition level 080. Read back all hold short instructions. Advised on initial contact you have information Zulu. George Airport information Zulu 1003 Zulu. Surface wind 100 degrees, 4 knots. Ceiling and visibility okay. Temperature 19 degrees. 0.08 degrees, QNH 1021, landing and departing runway 11, transition level 080. Read back all hold short instructions. Advised on initial contact you have information Zulu. George Airport information Zulu 1003 Zulu, surface wind 100 degrees, 4 knots. Ceiling and visibility okay, temperature 19 degrees, 0.08 degrees, QNH 1021, landing and departing runway 11, transition level 080. Read back all hold short instructions. Advised on initial contact you have information Zulu.
Alright, that's our ATIS information. So we do have a QNH of 1021. We'll just set that up in the meantime. Right.
Alpha 258, report ready for descent.
Right. Co-pilot continue to report ready for descent.
Ready for descent. Tulka 258.
Alpha 258, descent to flight level 190.
Descent to flight level 190. Tulka 258.
Okay, we've been given 190. I'll set 170 here, just so that we can stay ahead of our descent.
Southern 256, turn right, heading 235, vectors for the approach. Turn right, heading 235, Southern 256.
Okay, and then in terms of the landing, we are to expect runway 11, so I'll change this to ILS Zulu 11. But let's just have a look at something on our flight plan. Our last transition waypoint here is FAGG. So let's just search. Okay, they don't have any stars. Arrival star FAGG. Okay, no problem. Okay, we are doing ILS Zulu runway 11. Our name, and then just keep that. Then we can open up our charts. And in the meantime, here, I think we can do ILS Zulu and just execute that. And let's have a look at the changes that we have while we walk through the flight plan. So step. Okay, from Charlene we have a discontinuity. Alright, looks pretty straightforward though. If I zoom out, we can just fly parallel, fly down, yeah, there we go, fly downwind and then turn to base and then make our way. So this is pretty easy. I'll leave the discontinuity there on purpose, I think, or let me just connect it, but we will then automatically just revert to our, and let's step through it. Yeah, we will revert to our vectors. That's fine. I'm happy with that. There we go. Then what we can do is we'll take the runway, fix to this runway 11 and space to this. This is going to help us with controlling our descent and speed. Perfect. For our forecast, the QNH, we were given a QNH of 1021. So we can just set that, and then our transition is 8,000. Perfect. Continue on our charts. So with our charts, let's make this full view. The localizer frequency 109.5, so we'll set that. Perfect. And then final approach heading 116. Oh, perfect. And then the altitude, approach altitude 2,500. Alright, we'll continue, and then runway elevation 622, so we can set 600. There we go. Perfect. Alright. First approach, climb to 6,000 feet while flying to radio 116 GRV. At the 10.0 GRV, turn direct to VOR GOV. Okay. Alright, VOR GOV, enter, hold. Okay. Hold for 5 minutes and then expect vectors. Okay. So we climb 116 GRV. At GRV, this one we then turn to VOR GRV, so we make a turnaround again, and then we come to VOR GRV and fly our hold. Alright, okay, that's fine. Our minimums, we will be using 822 for the minimums. Then for our visualization, let's have a look. We'll be doing a full flaps landing 40. There we go. There's our speed. So we are all good on that. Just waiting for the QNH. Then let's have a look at our landing runway. Then while that is loading, we can perform our landing. So we're doing 1-1, dry conditions, flaps, full flaps. So we have 2.1 kilometers worth of runway, so it's fairly short. and then using the same weight, full flaps. Yep, so we're probably gonna go auto brakes 4 on this landing. Do we even have max auto brake? Max manual. Alright. Yeah, we're gonna have to manage our braking accordingly here, because we have such a short runway. So no floats will be permissible on this one. The runway is too short for that. We'll be coming through 1-1 and then make our way. Alright. And then we'll taxi off Alpha 3 and Alpha, and then there we are at the terminus. Alright, I'm happy with that. Alright, really beautiful views over here, nice mountain ridges, very very nice. Let's check on our passengers. Good flight so far. Sequel sign is on. Alright, that's fine. And there is the coast right there. Very nice. We'll be landing almost parallel to the coast. And the wind conditions are behaving as well, so it should be good. And with the glide, we are the profile. We are catching up to the descent profile now, so our descent rate should increase very shortly. There we go, catching up to the profile. Be able to assist with the speed brake as well.
Delta 258, descent flight level 100.
Descent flight level 100. Tulka 258.
My 8,000. Very nice. Gonna be very important to watch out for our terrain here. It's a very mountainous area. Current heading 245. Let's add some speed brake. These mountains are beautiful, my gosh. And the change in vegetation, very nice. From the almost dry to a very nice green and lush forests over here, very nice.
21.
Descend to 8,000 feet, QNH 1021, SAFET 256.
Delta 258, turn right, heading 270 vectors for the approach.
Turn right heading 270, Tolka 258.
Right now we're getting vectored in. And forward speed.
SAFET 256, contact George approach 128.2.
Contact George approach 128.2, SAFET 256.
Just get the aircraft to slow down. Let's do 220. Right, below 250 we can do flaps 1.
Delta 258, contact George approach 128.2.
Contact George approach 128.2, Tolka 258. George, Tolka 258, passing flight level 107, descending to flight level 100 with information Zulu.
Delta 258, George approach. Good day, QNH 1021, expect radar vectors for ILS Zulu approach runway 11.
QNH 1021, expect raid. Our vectors for ILS Zulu approach runway 11, Tolka 258.
Delta 258, descend to 4,000 feet, QNH 1021.
Descend to 4,000 feet, QNH 1021, Tolka 258.
Okay, 4,000. Descent rate.
SAFET 256, turn left heading 180.
Turn left heading 180, SAFET 256.
SAFET 256, turn left heading 180, descend to 3,000 feet.
Turn left heading 180, descend to 3,000 feet,
Below
SAFET
10,000.
256.
This heading needs to change.
Talca 258, turn right heading 285.
Turn right heading 285, Tulka 258.
Safair 256, descend to 2,500 feet.
Descend to 2,500 feet, Safair 256.
Increase our speed.
Safair 256, 3 miles from side 11, turn left heading 110. Maintain 2,500 feet until established, cleared ILS, Zulu approach runway 11.
Turn left heading 110, 2,500 feet until established, cleared ILS, Zulu approach runway 11, Safair 256.
Continue our descent just directed by the VNAV.
Talca 258, descend to 3,000 feet.
Descend to 3,000 feet, Tulka 258.
The heading needs to change as we need to be heading this way so we can do our turning that way. We'll continue to wait for beyond ATC. Seems to be a bit delayed in providing me the vectors. Beautiful views nonetheless. Right, this is what I'm gonna do while I wait for beyond ATC. Just direct myself to fly parallel while I'm watching the terrain. Approach altitude. Continue to just monitor the terrain. Just use my own vectors.
256, contact George Tower 118.9.
Over to Tower 118.9,
Yes,
Southhead
still have some
256.
space towards my right. 1,500. We are still clear of the terrain, just push more towards the right so that we can just make our turn to the fixed. And these are some of the problems with Beyond ATC. It's so laggy. I don't know if it's waiting for me to descend to 3,000 first and then give me the next instruction, but yeah, that's not so clear. So let's just continue to monitor the terrain. 15 nautical miles out, we should be doing 180, so we are still good.
Delta 258, turn left heading 270.
Turn left heading 270. Tolka 258.
Turn left heading 270. Too sure what Beyond ATC is trying to achieve here, but I'm gonna do this.
All aircraft be advised, information Alpha now current QNH1020.
It will be good this way. 1020.
Delta 258, turn left heading 260.
Turn left heading 260. Tolka 258.
Delta 258, descend to 2,500 feet QNH1020.
Descend to 2,500 feet. QNH1020. Tolka 258.
Delta 258, 2 miles from Sky 11, turn left heading 145, maintain 2,500 feet until established, clear Diane Ezulu approach runway 11.
Turn left heading 145. 2,500 feet. Until established. Cleared ILS Sulu. Approach runway 11. Tolka 258.
We're going to be established soon. We were in range to picking up ADME over here, so we are still good. Let's make our turn and line ourselves correctly. There we go. We are still on course correctly. get rid of the terrain on my side for now. Very mountainous area, eh? But beautiful, beautiful views, man. Sure. Very beautiful. At 15 nautical miles out. There we go. Alright, we can hit approach mode because we are picking up the localizer. It's around 15 nautical miles out. Co-pilot, continue to report established.
Tulka 258, establish 11.
Delta 258, roger.
We'll just report established because we are picking it up even though we are not established as yet. Approaching 10 nautical miles. There we go, glide, we are right below the glide. Can reduce our speed to 160 and gear can come down. Speed brake is armed, perfect. Nautical miles out, gears down, gears green. Airport's in sight. Flaps can be extended. And we choose our speed 150. We are on the glide and let's make our way down. Perfect.
2500.
Reference speed 140. So we'll do 145.
Alpha 258, contact George Tower 118.9er.
Over to Tower 118.9er. Tulka 258. George Tower, Tulka 258. ILS approach runway 11.
6,000.
Tulka 258, George Tower, wind 170 degrees, 3 knots, runway 11 cleared to land.
Runway 11 cleared to land, Tulka 258.
What you've been cleared to land almost 5 nautical miles out, speed can come down to 145. Alright. These are some beautiful views, man. Very beautiful. Cabin is seated, everybody's fine, they're ready. Perfect. Alright, captains, let's get ready to put this bird down.
400. Approaching
Autopilot
minimums.
disconnect. Aircraft is in my hands.
200 minimums.
Continue.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Perfect. Do some manual braking. There we go. Below 80 knots, reversers can be tucked. Beautiful touchdown. Auto brakes can come off.
Target 258, exit left at Alpha 2.
Exit left at Alpha 2. Tulka 258.
And stop. That should be fine. Parking brake comes up. Perfect. APU's on. Turn on the APU gens. Turn on the APU bleed. and the engines can come off. There we go. N2 has reduced significantly. We can set the chocks. Perfect. And stop our clock. Can release the seatbelt. Can turn off the beacon light, and we can request for deboarding. Alright, captains, and that brings us to George Airport. Wonderful landing. I am a bit anxious. I need to pull up our A Pilot's Life Chapter 2 and then just have a look at how we did on this one. So I'm pulling it up. And let's submit my flight. And let's go to our logbook and have a look at how we scored on this one.
Passengers buses.
So we'll have a look at our logbook. There we go. We scored pretty good on this flight, 100%. So we did well on every bit of criteria that we had. Our landing rate was 1.80 at a landing G-force of 1.21, so slightly firm in terms of the G-force. Let's have a look at our landing details and blow this up. So like I did say, we did have a short runway to work with. We did touch down. Let me see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, so we should have touchdown markers over here. We were nicely on center. I am very happy about that. And let's have a look. Very nice overall. We managed to stop correctly and made it to a parking spot. So again, landing rate of 180 feet per minute with a G-force of 1.21. Autopilot status was off. Very nice, captains. And that was our landing into George Airport. So it was a pretty nice flight, even though we had to override some of the beyond ATC commands there in terms of redirecting ourselves and ensuring that we are sticking to the correct vectors so that we do line up properly. We did some manual intervention there, but overall we did pretty well for this flight. We flew very well. I enjoyed this local flight. Some very beautiful scenery that we witnessed. Very nice and mountainous area, and there are our passengers getting off. So I'm pretty happy about this flight. Well, captains, that then brings us to the end of today's flight. If you did enjoy the video, please do hit the like button, and if you have not subscribed, please do also hit the subscribe button together with the bell notification icon so that you can be notified of future videos that I do upload. And while we are on this note, just wanted to send out a massive thank you to all my viewers who keep coming back to the channel, those who leave their comments, leave their tips, and encourage the engagement between ourselves. I really do appreciate that so much. Every split second you put into watching the videos is wholeheartedly appreciated and really goes a long way. So thank you so much, captains. To my friend Andy, who keeps encouraging me to fly and comes back and never misses a stream. Thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate it. To my wife as well, who never misses a stream. Thank you. I really appreciate it. To all the newcomers, thank you guys. So yes, that's the end for today's flight, captains. As we wait for the new episode, let's continue to share our love for share our love for aviation on all the platforms that we do engage on, whether it's getting onto the plane, sharing our photographs and so forth. Let's just continue to enjoy it. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful hobby. So thank you guys, and we meet again on the next one. Bye.